アビさん、自己紹介お願いします。
皆さん、こんにちは。はじめまして、アビと申します。アメリカ人です。日本に5年ぐらい住んでいます。福島県いわき市に5年ぐらい住んだと、最近、長野市に引っ越しました。福島の高校で ALT を知っていました。5年前に日本に来た時はどうなるのか全くわかりませんでした。今年は日本語の勉強をとっても頑張り
うん。
ました。
ああ、素晴らしい。
1ヶ月前は赤ちゃんみたいに何もできなかったけど、今は自分のことを自分でできるようになったきました。
うん、素晴らしい。
日本語がもっと話せるようになると、日本での暮らしが快適になりました。これからも日本語をもっと勉強して、日本で自立して生活していきたいです。以上です。ありがとうござい
はい、
ます。
ありがとうございました。素晴らし
はい。
い。Alright, so, Avi-san, welcome
うん。
to my YouTube channel. And also
Yeah, thank you for having me.
congratulations on your completion of level one. So this is
Yeah,
9
thank you.
months. You had a
Yeah, no,
lot of actually things going on. You actually moved to Nagano from Iwaki and everything. It was pretty intense because you did the job interview and everything. So before those actually conversation, can you tell me where you're from, why you moved to Japan?
So yeah, I'm from America. I was born in the South of America, so many southern states like Georgia, Oklahoma,
Mm,
Arkansas. And I ended
okay.
up in California for most of my adult life after university. So it's easiest to say I'm from Los Angeles because everybody
Mm.
knows Los Angeles. So did a lot of moving before I came to Japan.
And mainly, what were you doing when you're in the States, in the adult life especially?
I actually went to school for theater. I studied acting, but mainly like the technical side of theater. So doing,
Mm.
costumes, lighting, sets. And then that's part of why I moved to Los Angeles was to work in like the movie industry. So yeah, I worked various jobs, but like at Universal Studios doing costumes and stuff like that. And then, the movie industry is a bit fickle. We had, some like writer strikes and things like that. So I actually kind of
Mm.
fell into doing insurance. So like auto and home insurance for like celebrity clients for about 10
Oh,
years.
I see. And then this time, what do you know about Japan?
So I grew up obviously watching anime. I've always loved, Disney and animated things. And so as a child, I watched a lot of anime, but I didn't know it was anime because when it was brought over to America, they dubbed everything in English. They changed a lot of things to make it Americanized. So I always thought
Mm.
Pokemon was an American cartoon. And then when I got a little older, I was
Really?
like, oh, it's from Japan. Yeah. So I started really getting interested in Japan and like Japanese anime, but also Japanese culture. And yeah, I always wanted to travel to Japan, and I finally got a chance to go on a trip to Japan in 2016, and I just fell in love with the country, the people, the culture, the history, the nature, and yeah, just talking to people. Everyone was so friendly and polite, and I was like, I'd really like to, try living in Japan. I think it would be a great place to live. It's super safe, and so I started to get the idea of like, how could I try and live here? Did some research on, how to move to Japan. And most things on the internet were saying, oh, you be an English teacher. That's how you can move to
Mm.
Japan without any Japanese, right? Because
Mm.
I didn't have any Japanese. I didn't study Japanese in school or anything. So I was like, oh, I can
Mhm.
be an English teacher. I can use my theater degree because I'm fine talking in front of big groups of people, performing on stage. And so I was like, oh, I can maybe, actually use my leadership skills, my theater skills, and be a teacher. So yeah.
Amazing. So
Hmm.
ending up, living in Japan for 5 years, a pretty long time. So how was actually the first experience, the first year, and now it's 5 years later, it's a bit different, the very new to Japan. So new to Japan, like the first year, how was it?
It was amazing and very, very difficult.
Mm,
As a child, I moved around a lot, like every
mm,
summer we were moving to a different city, different state. And so I thought I was prepared, like, oh, I've got this. I'm a very independent independent person. I'll be fine moving to a foreign country. And like, yes, in a lot of aspects, I tend to do things on my own, but
Mm.
when you don't have the language is when it's really, really difficult because you're a baby,
Mm.
akachan. I was really back to being a baby. So yeah, it was very like, crazy because it's like I'm an adult. I've been an adult for a very long time. And like as far as like my job went, like obviously I was mainly treated like an adult. But yeah, when you go out just trying to go to the kombini or going to the grocery store and just trying to buy food, it's like being a child,
Yeah,
in an
true.
adult body. Because yeah, you literally can't communicate. You can't ask for basic things.
Mm.
Yeah, so it was very, very difficult.
So, like Avi-san, in 2024, still like language learning, it's pretty difficult. So, can you like
Mm-mm.
a little bit explain, like, so this is a 5 years experience. Of course, you wish you could really learn like this, but it's the reality is pretty difficult. Even the Japanese people are whole time struggling. You teach the English, you see that a lot of children can't speak English, right?
Yeah, my students could not speak any English. They were high schoolers and they could barely answer good morning and like they could barely answer like what's your favorite, nani nani. And I was in the same boat basically. Like I completely empathized with them because the way that the Japanese like system for teaching English is just grammar, vocabulary, and memorization. It's
Yeah.
very little output. So yes, they could be tested on like high level grammar, like high school level grammar in English, but they could not speak to me at all. They couldn't understand anything I was saying. And that was kind of the same way I felt. It's like, yeah, I've gone through all these textbooks. I understand the basics of grammar. I have a lot of vocabulary in my head. I've
Mm.
done all the input, but there's no output. So, and I've
Mhm.
been trying to do the self studying, but it's just like, if you're not doing any output, you're never going to get better.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people say that oh, I'm too old to learn a new language or something like people think. But it's you see, like a high school student is a young, so it's
Yeah.
all about the learning structure. It's not about the age. It's not about something like if you're smart or not. Literally, everybody can't speak English if the learning structure is not helping them, right?
Yeah, yeah. And like of my students, like I really only had like one or two out of, 600, 700 students that I would call like, barely conversational. And the only reason they were
Mm.
is because they did stuff outside of class. If they only relied on the Japanese like school system to teach them English, they weren't
Mm.
going to learn English. So they watched YouTube, they watched, English movies, and
Mm.
they like really practiced speaking. And like I said, they were like, it's like 2 out of 600 students. And that's because they, realize that it's like, oh, I'm not going to learn this if I just keep, memorizing these, the books that the school is telling me to memorize. So yeah, it's like you have to go outside of textbooks. There's no way that you can learn language just by memorizing and like repeating, the dictionary.
Yeah.
Maybe there's like, a rare 1 in a million person that can do that, but I would say for most people, like you have to practice speaking and listening to a language, do the output.
Yeah. So one last request. So let's
Hmm.
say in 2024, a lot of people are working as a ALT in Japan,
Yep.
but I think as a ALT, you see that this most of the ALT doesn't speak Japanese fluently, and also lots of people are coming as a ALT from the States too, or there are some people are planning. And what they start is usually what I've been hearing is Duolingo or just
Hmm.
textbook study, but they're not really seeing the progress in speaking. So by experience, 5 years with your real experience, both like a textbook learning and now Japan language factory. So what is going to be the advice to them to really make a progress?
So, Duolingo textbooks, all those things, like a lot of it is really just focused on like sound bites, like one sentence. But that's not how you talk to people. People don't just say one sentence and then stop. They're going to keep going. And so it's like you're never going to make progress with actually having a conversation if you're just learning, like listening to one little sentence, and like trying to repeat that back. Like you really have to put yourself out there. Like I said, if you're not comfortable going to like bars and talking to people, like find something, your hobby that you like to do, whether it's like, I don't know, games or cosplay or something like that. Find something in Japan that you can do that hobby and use the language. So for me, yeah, it's like I like to sew. So
Mm,
I've been trying to talk to like our students, like our adult students and their parents about like hobby crafts and stuff like that. And they've started to give me like recommendations of like stores to go to, or like there was a big craft fair in town
mm,
that they recommended to me. And so yeah, like those little conversations I can have about a topic
mm,
that I like, and then I can
mm,
find other people that like that topic as well. Maybe it's sports, you know, like right now everyone has like baseball fever, you know. So if you
mm,
like baseball, you can make many friends talking about
mm.
baseball in Japan because everyone's talking about the World Series, you know, the Dodgers, Yankees. Like, so if there's something you like, there's going to be someone here that likes it as well. And you can find other foreigners, but especially other Japanese people that you can start talking to. And that's really it, is you have to try and like put yourself out there. So I mainly stuck to like other foreigners when I was in ALT. It feels nice because you're in your own little bubble, but it also can be lonely too, you know, because you don't feel like you're really a part of society, you know. So it's like
Mm.
you really have to kind of put yourself out there and kind of go outside your comfort zone, which, like I said, I'm a pretty extroverted person, you know, just from like my theater training and stuff like that. But when I'm by myself, I get really shy and really nervous,
Mm.
you know. And so yeah, I've really had to like push myself past that and just be like, okay, well, I want to talk to somebody about this topic. So gambarimasu, you know. So that
Yeah,
would be my advice, is like it's always going to be difficult. You're always going to make mistakes, but like find something that you want to talk about, learn those phrases to talk about that hobby or that thing that you like, and then try talking to people about it. And yeah, try finding hobby groups and things you can join in on, because that's how you're going to improve, is like literally by talking to other people about something you like. You're going to learn phrases and they'll be willing to teach you because you have camaraderie. So yeah.
amazing. All right, so
Yeah.
Avi-san, thank you so much. And
Yeah, you're
also
welcome.
congratulations on this completion. It's now almost the end
Uh,
of this 2024. It's the biggest change and it's the biggest accomplishment.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. So, おかげさまで。ありがとうござい
ありがとう
ました。
ございました。
はい。Thank you so much.